Hello, welcome to Satan Show. I am, the imposter, LL Tack. From this episode, I will talk about why nations go to war. First, it is not the countries or its citizens that are at odds. It is the system's transcontinentalists. The top echelon, the trillionaires that have giant slave ships floating in the Pacific, where they can escape to during times of trouble they instigate. The descendants of the creators of the system still do the same vile atrocities their ancestors enjoyed for pagan entertainment. It is important for the system to make them believe they are above moral law, demigods. While they receive their conditioning from birth to death, except it is for commanding the country's citizens instead of the one for mundane existence as ours. The transcontinentalists will carry out the removal of the old outdated equipment, human beings, as technology brings in the newest and latest model. Furthermore, following the advancements in mechanization soon coincides with war. After the internal combustion engine rolled out with its many attachments, the system no longer required so many slaves. When you do not have slaves anymore, there is no need for slave masters. The system necessitated ridding themselves of the millions of corporation slaves and their thousands of masters. The First World War, when Britain consolidated control over the entire planet's oceans. One of the many English campaigns during that period, also known as the American Civil War, established the shroud for extermination. The conflicts and naval battles hid the mass murder of millions of Africans and Black Americans toiling on gigantic commercial farms. From the 1840s to the 1850s, over 1 million Irish people moved to the U.S. That number alone could run the new British machines invented to replace humans and their beast of burden. Before the tractor, it required a mule or ox to pull a plow, cart, or wagon. By 1860, the South was in trouble. It held to many Jewish Islamist Catholic slaves. They could not set them free. Their numbers would crush the Southern economies, nor selling them for enough profit after transporting them to the few places that still dealt in slavery. While World War I engaged violently between the slave masters, patriots loyal to Andrew Jackson's legacy, against the supposed North, Great Britain, was being played out. The transcontinentalists used the battles as cover to dump millions of terrorized slaves into the Atlantic Ocean. After Idi Amin carried out his genocide work in Uganda, the internationals let him retire in Saudi Arabia. You always hear of the massive amounts of people that die during these wars. How are they able to repopulate so quickly after the eradication? The populations never return to the past totals because there is not enough stability to be able to farm and ranch to feed the newborns. We really do not know how many breathing humans we have on this planet today. They purposely have not removed the names of the deceased from the nation's censuses to create confusion. Subsequently, since the end of World War III, from the time the noble Christian Germans gave their lives to stop Stalin's British Bolsheviks' communism from destroying Western Europe, the system initiated the Balfour Declaration using an old formula for removal of inhabitants to create frontier land. It worked wonderfully in the US and Africa's past to eradicate the nomads, Bedouin. It is called displacement through terror. Create a hostile environment that is intolerable to the current residents. That is why it is important for the system to commence wars in the spring, the planting season. Then wage the battles all summer long when the crops should be growing in the fields. Afterwards have a ceasefire agreement when winter approaches, while waiting for the local people to starve and freeze to death. Watch as Lebanon, Syria, and parts of Turkey fall to the system, which is the Levant that is currently under the British frontier land reclamation process that already owns Palestine, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Furthermore, we cannot really believe that after humans have lived on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years, there is any frontier unoccupied land. We need to stop killing each other off before the drones are walking on the ground. When they hit the streets, there will be nothing we can do. One person from an ocean liner the size of 2 aircraft carriers will be able to have the game of his or her life, as he or she will be able to wipe out whole towns and metropolises with their life-sized automatons. It is extremely important that you follow the drone and learned intelligence technology in manufacturing and food production in the coming years. In 2017, we will see if the robot can withstand the radiation from the Fukushima experiment. Please also survey the poor African countries' depopulation ongoing right now through years of turmoil and disease from purposely providing poor sanitation. Regard the current situation in car created to remove the indigenous people for biofuel production from the climate tax on the air we exhale, carbon dioxide. Observe as the once former breadbasket of South Africa starves, Zimbabwe. The aristocratic Catholic, Muslim, and Judea players are up to their same old mercantilism tricks. They are enacting economic, geographic, and religious games of risk. Using Sun Tzu's Art of War and any other book or person to assist with their millennial eugenics agenda. The same procedure is happening in South America all the way up to Mexico, the country's depopulation through years of war and starvation. Even though they have already killed billions and lied about it, they are not finished. The slaughter of natives not accepting all the best land solely owned by the transcontinentalists, will only accelerate as the newest and latest equipment rolls out. The internationals are already replacing the slaves in Foxconn's largest prison in China with robotics. The system did everything to keep the sweatshop workers from killing themselves in the Gulag, so since they had no way out, the commercial captives revolted. Real change is something the system avoids like the plague. Hostages that mutiny will find punishment as their reward. Why does Haiti have to suffer? Because they defied the system. Hispaniola had all of its original inhabitants murdered. The Indians kept disobeying and running away. The transcontinentalists replaced them after the only true account of complete genocide took place. With Africans that were easier to control. After nearly killing them off, almost as fast as they can ship in new slaves, the Africans also rebelled. For themselves, they were able to create a good life, the former slaves. However, the system is patient, waiting until the descendants forgot what their ancestors told them about the sly sycophants of the masters. The money and spies started buying traitors and spreading lies in the taverns. Outside of Haiti, the system bought up all the foodstuffs artificially to elevate the price so no grown produce would stay or come shipped in. Then, having unrest internally and unable to secure provisions for its people, Haiti was ripe for the picking. Therefore, the transcontinentalists destroyed their economy, which led to what Haiti is today. Nevertheless, do not worry, now that the Haitians are desperate, the system is ready to welcome them back into slavery. The Dominicans knew to stay where they belong, and remained indentured servants. The bridge party is how we can begin. We have to stop wasting our time on the forever gone past. The only way to know what is transpiring presently around the world is to visit the poor people of that country today and speak with them. All news media and governments are lying to our faces, sporting a smile the entire time. Listen to the way they talk down to us as if we are ignorant children. They report the hearsay like a bona fide bedtime story that is supposed to teach us a lesson at its conclusion. The commentators' condescending tone, when they inform us we are a big part of the major problem of faux global climate change warming. Then ultimately, their heartfelt solution when we were commencing to worry about what we can do to solve it. Listen to the slave music on every radio station to keep us motivated. However, not too much so we will work staunchly. They play an upbeat song followed by two sad songs or vice versa. If no commercial trails, then another upbeat song before the commercials aired. It is the same pattern whatever the classification. Country music will broadcast a God Bless America song followed by a wife left me and the bank foreclosed on my ranch. Pop music spins I'm getting lucky tonight, then afterwards my girl left with someone else, my best friend. Rock plays screw the establishment, then the authorities screwed my friend and now he's in jail. The indoctrination programming is comprehensive and repeated by everyone for each flavor of the human rainbow. When you find fault with part of the story, you doubt the entirety of it. Pangaea is nonsense that no one should believe. There was once one supercontinent floating on one side of a saltwater inundated molten planet. Then after millions of years, the enormous landmass split apart and floated to where the continents rest today. Please, for one thing, the weight of the behemoth would have melted it down flat with the globe's surface, superheated pliable spreading rock being heavier than the boiling brine water covering the surface of the earth. The contemporary shores are their shape from the waves and winds' erosion over trillions of years. When the dinosaurs lived on the planet, swamps, vast shallow lakes and low dry areas commanded the surface. We know by using modern physics that apply to all matter. No creature its size could stay on the current Earth's circumference dry land for long. The Brontosaurus would suffocate from its large size. An elephant cannot lay down on its side for too long before it asphyxiates. The Tyrannosaurus swam its whole life as well as all the rest of the gigantic dinosaurs, just like a hippo. The Earth's surface temperature during the Triassic period was 100 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit from a slower rotation, giving it 20-hour days and 24 nights, 40 total, not 24 as today. With a prehistoric slightly lesser spherical mass for the globe and scattered with flat-surfaced greenhouses, inundated by expansive swamps and shallow waterways. The colossal amounts of carbon dioxide created escaping the planet's gravity as it does constantly, continually every day. We do not find dinosaur bones ubiquitously, because of the land masses melted from the ancient catastrophes and reoccurring ice ages. Massive meteors and asteroids impacts, barely adding to the circumference of the planet to make it larger, were increasing the gravitational force. All the while huge magma explosions from their collisions released energy beneath the Earth's surface. The crust punctured at supersonic speeds, capsizing the giant plates of the planet. Tidal waves have removed hundreds of feet off the top of the continents, submerging evidence in deep ocean trenches eons ago. Using common sense and physics, we can explain our past much better than the conditioning lies of the superstition demigods always mindful of God's omnipresence. We do not care anymore if their religious political correctness calls us a heretic, blasphemer or some other pious nonsense for seeking the forbidden knowledge. Truth and true science is never final, always free for viewing, taunting anyone to try to prove the last person wrong. To care more about what someone thinks than what we do, is where they want us to be. People, when it comes down to it, not everyone are lunatics. The few misguided individuals out there need their neighbor's help, not their judgment, then we would be going in the right direction. Time is running out for humanity on this, the only planet that can sustain life. The coming drones have no feelings. The system is so completely detached from actuality, they do not care how we die, as long as we go sooner than later. We should enact the only reasonable solution between humans and demigods. That is the single way truly to break free. Women have ruled the best and most open societies in times of yore. During elections, only women will be able to run for public offices. Men have developed to be cunning killers. Women evolved to be ultimate survivors. Lowland chimpanzees are patriarchal and have all-male gangs that control their territory. They battle with other fraternities when in close contact and eat the unfortunate captives they can catch. Mountain chimps are matriarchal and subsist in peaceful communities. That is why the Torah, Quran, and King James Bible go to great lengths to demonize our mothers. If women gained control, they would work together as they always have to bring peace. The lies written and told to us about how long we have been civilized in open societies contradict common sense. They did this to pretend humans have always been warring with each other. That is simplistic reasoning to assume it is the truth. Stop wasting time with the illusion and investigate your surroundings as if you owned the entire area. When the trucks and trains do not come from the coast towards the grocery stores, there will be no provisions. Let us set up state food reserves for our neighbors and ourselves. Why does produce in the cans today not last as long as they did 40 years ago? Those greedy bastards even making food spoil early for profit, or just another lie. We will mirror what we have now, the system, and make it better with a guaranteed standard of living, not just existing in a tin can waiting to die alone. After the first elections, we only have to replace the executive and legislative branches of the federal government with the Council of Governesses, convened from all 50 states. Through open elections, our new officials will initially administer the military. The armed forces will oversee the movement of equipment, food, and people across the oceans for home, the Americas. In the private sector we do not have to replace anyone, only shrink the corporations and churches, synagogues, and mosques to monopolize just on the single state's level. Furthermore, no transcontinentalists will be tolerated throwing money around to buy your regional and national freedom. Before you can drive on the new bridge, it has to be built beside the old one currently in use, mirrored. The bridge party or anything you want to do with your neighbors, to slow it down. Please no violence, we are all adults, we must act as such. The less we break the less we have, temporarily to rebuild. Thank you for listening to Satan Show. I am, the imposter, LL Tack.